Hey y'all, this is Jessica with Bless Your Heart. Let's do another wavy line cup today. We're going to start with a 20-ounce hog, skinny. I'm just going to remove all the bits and bobs, put them back in the box, sand the cup down, get it rinsed off, and I'm going to show y'all how I make my template. For my measurements, I'm going to use the width, which will be circumference, and the length, which will be the top to bottom. And I'm going to write those measurements down, open up my Silhouette Studio. I'm going to create a square, and I'm going to go into my width and height up there, unlock it, and I'm going to put the width dimensions, which was our circumference, and the height dimensions, which was top to bottom, and that gives us a flat look at what our cup should look like. Then I'm going to go into my library and pick out my wave pattern, and however many waves that you're going to want to use, that's how many you pick. I'm going to start with 4 or 5, I think. I'm going to copy those and paste them in my original canvas, and I'm going to just manipulate these until I like what they look like. You can use all of them. You can use 1, 2, however many you want. If you want a bunch on there, take as many over as you want. This is completely user preference. I'm going to move them and tilt them and stretch them and make them wider or skinnier or however I want this to look on my cup. And once I'm done with that, I'm going to kind of manipulate the colors and all kinds of stuff so we can see what we're working with. Okay, now that I have gotten some colors going on so we can actually kind of see what we're talking about, I have stretched and widened these until I'm happy with what they look like. I'm going to remove what I don't want to use, then I'm going to bring the waves to the front of the design. I'm going to select all of the design, and I'm going to go over there to the little modify tab, which is the rectangle with a circle kind of on the edge of it, and I am going to select crop, and that is going to take out everything that is not inside my black box, and it will leave me with just the squiggly lines. Once I'm left with just my wave pattern, I am going to go to the send panel and just make sure that I do have true cut lines, which is those red things you see around all of them. So now I'm going to go back to my original waves, and I'm going to create my offsets. So that is the star with the outline, and for my offset I do 0.045, and then I use the exact same thing and do an inset of 0.045. And it's hard to see, but I've got half of that in and half of it out. And this is what it looks like when you do that. What this does is it gives you a thick enough line that you have a little bit of wiggle room when you're putting your pinstripes on, that if it goes over in a spot or doesn't completely cover a spot, you have a thick enough line to do your striping with that you have like a margin of error. I'm just going to use this real pretty kind of tealy gray removable vinyl I got from Hobby Lobby, and here is the cut file we just created. It cut beautifully. This removable vinyl is going to weed beautifully. We're going to get all of this excess off. We're going to put it on some transfer tape, and then we're going to cut down till we have as close as we can to our template and get it put on our cup. To put the template on the cup, we're going to use the hinge method. We're going to line it up as straight as possible, and we're going to use our big squeegee to kind of shimmy these waves on. Now it is not a seamless pattern, so none of these waves are going to meet up. There will be excess on the bottom, and we're just going to use our craft knife to cut that off, and then we're going to get ready for the next step. For our offset outlines that we made, I cut them out in textured gold. So we're going to go ahead and put them on the cup now before we seal all this vinyl work in with epoxy. So you can see here that it is one solid piece that we cut out. So we're going to need to be careful with these curves and patterns that we don't stretch them too much and that we don't tear the vinyl. You're going to be able to see that since we've cut it wide enough, we did an offset and an inset, that it's going to give us some wiggle room and a little bit of forgiveness with those vinyl stripes, and it's going to make it look like this is what we are supposed to do with them. It's going to fit beautifully, and it's going to turn out great. Once you get the first one done, move on to the second, and then move on to the third. When I got to this last piece of vinyl, I had basically a bird nest, you can see here. So I just really carefully moved this vinyl about. I didn't want to tear it, I didn't want to stretch it. I knew it was going to fit how we cut it because we cut it correctly. It is going to be kind of a pill to mess with one solid piece of vinyl like this as striping, but it is worth it. It turns out really nice. Once we get all of our excess cut off, I'm going to go ahead and put my decal on. This is just a decal I got from the glitter guy. It's just a white back decal, and I'm just going to place it kind of center. Once I get this placed, I am going to seal everything in with a good coat of polyacrylic, and then I'm going to epoxy until smooth. And here we go. Thank y'all so much for hanging out with me today. I hope to see you again soon. Bye.